Hello, everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. My name is Adrielle. I am currently telling a story of my life dating all the way back from January 2016, entitled An Unlikely Story. Last episode, I spoke about the month of September, spoke about Crystal, spoke about my micro exam, which I was very weary about, and this episode, I'm just going to talk about the month of October and everything that happened. So here it goes. So, October 2nd, which was a Monday, I go to my micro class, and the professor tells us the average for the class was, I think it was like an 81 or 85. So I was like, okay, that's great. I don't know if I fall into that category, but I hope I do. So he starts to hand everybody their tests, and I get my I get my micro test. I look at it, I see a lot of cross marks, I see a lot of question marks, I see a lot of words saying explain, what does this mean? And at the end of the exam, at the back of the page, I see a note from my professor. It says, I would advise you to drop the class. And right next to it, I see 20. I'm like, wait, what? I got a 20 on this exam? Like, what? Like, a 20 out of 100. Who gets a 20 on an exam? On a midterm exam? So as I'm sitting in my table, I'm sitting on my desk, just dumbfounded about my score. I'm hearing everybody else's score. People are getting 85, 93, 99, 97. And I'm like, I thought the whole class was puzzled about the course. Like everybody seemed like they didn't know what was going on, but they're getting 85, 95, 97 in their exams. I'm like, yo, I'm in deep waters right now. I'm in deep waters. I was like, what? 20? A 20 on an exam? That is awful. So later on, I think that was like my last class of the day. I go into my apartment in the evening, probably like around 4 or 5, and I am crying. I am crying my eyes out. I don't know what to do. I do not want to drop this class because if I drop it, I would only have 2 classes left. I don't want to take another semester of classes. Like I want to graduate May 2019. I don't want to graduate December 2019. So if I drop the course, I would have to, wait a semester or take summer classes like on which I don't want to do. So I'm crying. I'm just crying. I don't know what to do. I need to talk to someone. I call Crystal. She doesn't pick up her phone. I call her again. She doesn't pick up her phone. So I call Amber, and I am just bawling on the phone to Amber. She's like, Adriel, it's hard. Like I get it. Like we're all going through it. She was just really encouraging me. And then at the end of the phone call, she says, can I pray for you? So she prays for me, and as she's praying, I am just crying as I'm saying amen. It was a lot, but I ended that phone call feeling encouraged. I said, you know what? I'm not going to drop this class. I am going to do super well, go super hard for the next exam because we have 3 exams for that class. I said, if I can get 100 on the next exam and then 100 in the final exam, then I can get like a B in the class. If I can get 100 in all the homeworks, I can get a B. So I am just driven and determined at this point. I am telling myself, I have 2 more courses that I need to take the midterm. Let me go and study and try not to repeat what happened with micro. So for October 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, I'm studying for econometrics midterm. That's on the 11th, October 11th. I'm studying for macro midterm exam. That's on October 10th. But at this point, I'm really concentrating on econometrics because I felt like that was the one that I needed more effort. I needed to put more effort into that, and I need to understand more things about that topic. Macro is a piece of cake for me. It was like whatever. I can study the last day. So October 8th, which was a Sunday, I made it my decision. I made a decision that the entire day I am going to study for macro. I only had 4 chapters to study. I was like, if I can use 8 to 12 hours to study for macro, I am good. I'm going to try and cram whatever I need to cram. And yeah, I should be good. Now, at this time, Crystal's program, they would have exams like every Monday, like probably like 4 times a week she would have exams. So I told myself I would want to be in an environment where other people are studying because that would motivate me to study and just be more serious. So I told Crystal October 8th, Sunday, that hey, I'm coming over, to study with you because I know you have an exam tomorrow on Monday. And after that we can go to church at night. So that was the plan. So I wake up early in the morning, probably like around 7 to get ready to get to her place by 9. I get to Crystal's place at by 9. She had a situation going on. I'm not gonna go too much into it because that's her business, but she had a situation going on, and that kind of delayed my time of reading. So we didn't get to start studying probably like around 11. Yeah, probably like around 11. So we go to her school's library. I'm studying, and as I'm studying, she's on Instagram. Hey, Adriel, we should go to this restaurant. Hey, Adriel, we should do this. Hey, Adriel, oh, okay, cool, cool, cool. Like, yeah, we gotta study. And then she FaceTimes somebody as well. She's doing other things, and I'm really not getting the quality study that I thought I was gonna get. I'm like, that was the whole point of me coming here. Around 6, 7, or 8, we had to start getting ready for church. And at this point, I'm starting to have a headache. And we're still trying to figure out her situation. So we come to a solution for her situation, but I have a headache. She gives me this type of painkillers or whatever. I take it, I start to feel better a little bit. We go to church. When we go to church, I tell myself, you know what, when I get back home, I am going to pull an all nighter because I really could not study. I get back home to my apartment. I have dinner. I start studying and I'm feeling drowsy. I was like, wait, what? Why am I feeling drowsy? So trying to study, trying to study. I am just fighting sleep on my couch. So eventually I go into my bed, I fall asleep. I wake up the next morning, probably like around 10 o'clock. I'm still drowsy. 11 o'clock, I'm still drowsy. 12 o'clock, I'm still drowsy. Now I have a class at this point around, I think it was like 1:30 to 2 o'clock. I had to force myself to get up just because I have to make my class. Like I was like, why am I feeling so drowsy? And not only that, I really did not study. So I wake up, get dressed, go to my class, and go to my other class, come back home, and I'm like, okay, I need to study. I'm studying and studying. Even I was studying while classes were going on, and I wasn't paying attention because I was like, I need to finish these 4 chapters. That was Monday. Tuesday, the next day, was the actual exam. Macro, that's my subject. Ever since college, I've been super good when it comes to macro. I've always gotten A's. I'm like, I know I didn't get the quality study I wanted, but I'm gonna do very well because macro is my thing. So I am taking the midterm exam. I'm forgetting stuff. Not only am I forgetting stuff, I'm like, man, I skipped that when I was reading my notes. I'm like, yo, he actually asked this question on the exam. I'm like, are you serious? I was like, I skipped that. I'm like, he asked this too. Oh my goodness, I skipped it. So I wrote whatever I wrote. And in my mind, I'm telling myself, you know what? I got an 85. I got an 85. I know I had hopes of getting 100, but I got an 85. I get back to my apartment. I am devastated because I'm like, if I dedicated so much time to this exam, I would have gotten this 100 that I wanted to get. I wouldn't have skipped the things that I skipped. I just started getting mad with myself, like, why did I go to Crystal's place to study? Because I really didn't get to study. Why did I take the painkillers? Because that's what made me drowsy. I was just so infuriated with myself, like, man, this was my class to get the A. And I fumbled that. So I called Crystal to tell her what happened to me. Like, man, I just took this midterm. I don't feel good about it. I hope I get an 85. I'm believing I get an 85. Like, I just don't feel so good about it. And this is what Crystal tells me as I'm like complaining. She tells me this. She says, grades are not everything. Grades are not everything. But the times you called me complain about your grades, you didn't remember that grades weren't everything? Like she had no empathy for me. She was like, yeah, just do well next time. I was like, and not only that, when I ended up telling her that I got a 20 on my micro, she was like, "Oh my goodness." I was like, "Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do." And she became passive in the conversation. And I'm like, "Yo, why is it every time I have a conversation about her with my program, she puts in little effort in the conversation. She gives me no advice. She is like it's as if she doesn't even want me to talk about my program. But when it comes to her program, I'm all ears. Even that same Sunday, I was still, once I got into my apartment, I was still checking on her to see if she was able to study for her exam, and she got an A. She got an A in that exam that she was bothering me with. And I'm just like, yo, what is going on? You know? So later on that night, I remember just feeling sad about myself, about how I'm performing academically, and how everything is just going like it's not going my way. I feel like things are just not going my way academically. And this is why I hear. This is why I hear. And this was the first time I heard the voice of the Lord. He says to me, "You turned your books into an idol." I was like, oh my goodness. That's true. Like I really did. Because at this point, y'all, I was not doing Bible study anymore. I was not doing devotion time. I wasn't praying, even to the fact where I said to myself, God understands that I need to study. So if I'm not reading the Bible, like he gets it. He brought me to Georgia to come and get my master's degree. So he gets it. Like he should understand. Like I remember having that mindset. So I substituted my devotion time for my study time. I was not seeking God at all. And there would be times where I would just read the devotion for the verse of the day. I would watch a sermon just to be like, okay, I spend time with God. I neglected God and I was so consumed with my books and it was affecting everything else that I was doing. And to top it all off, I watched a sermon that night and the pastor was talking about idols. Anything you put before God is an idol. And I was like, okay, that was just confirmation of what the Lord told me. And I was like, man, how did I get here? Because 2016, 2017, back in Jersey, I was on it. Spending time with God, I was on it. Now that I'm in Georgia, I just threw all that out the window. So that was a learning lesson for me. The next day, October 11, I took the econometric exam. I felt better about that. That was it. October 15. October 15 was a Sunday, and I had a micro, the class I was struggling with. I had a micro homework to do and submit the next day, which was the 16th. Need to finish this homework before going to church. And yeah, so as I'm doing the homework, I'm telling myself, I don't think I can finish this in 2 or 3 hours. So I message Crystal and I tell her I am not going to church with her today because I need to finish this homework. So she was like, okay, cool. Next day was the 16th. I handed in my homework. I really, really did try my best for that homework. 17, got my macro results back, and I did not get an 85. I got a 75. And I was crushed because this was my class. Like, this is my A class, and I got a 75. I mean, I knew where I messed up because I didn't fully prepare for the exam as I should have. And not only that, I neglected my quiet time with the Lord. I substituted my quiet time with the Lord for study time, for crystal time, and my priorities was just not all together. And I was hating myself for that because I feel like I should have done better and I should have known better. So I get back into my apartment that evening after class, and I said, I am going to look at all my quizzes that I have left for the class, all the homeworks I have left for the class, and I am going to schedule that I am going to get 100. So for everything I wrote, I'm gonna get 100 for the next quiz. I'm gonna get 100 for the next homework. I'm gonna get 100 for the final. If I do that, I can score an A minus at the end of the semester. So I said I am going to go super hard. I'm gonna go super hard, and I am going to utilize all of Amber's notes that she's given me, and yeah, I'm gonna get 100 in everything. I'm just becoming a maniac when it comes to this whole scores and grades and stuff like that. I am crazy about it because I really want to do well. The next micro exam is approaching October 25th. I said I'm gonna get 100. I'm gonna get 100. So October 22nd comes. Amber picks me up. She's like, "Hey, the PhD guy, he's gonna tutor us. I'm gonna pick you up. We're gonna go to a cafe in Dunwoody. I'm just, we're gonna do well. Adriel, everything's gonna be okay, right?" So I am just all ears for what he has to say. I'm trying to understand everything. And not only that, at this point, I will say the material got easier to understand. So I was thankful for that. That first part, that first month of micro, I was like, what is this? But it became easier after the midterm. So I am studying for the second exam, and I'm just trying to do the best I can. October 24th, the day before actually the night before the exam, I start having runny nose and my throat is itchy and I have a sore throat. I go, I go to sleep. I am coughing throughout the night, sneezing, blowing my nose throughout the whole night. And I'm like, yo, I have an exam in the afternoon. Like, what? So I wake up to a fever. Yeah. October 25th, I wake up to a fever. I go to one of my grad groups meetings. I come back and I was like, yo, I gotta study. I have to have the strength to study and I have to have the strength to actually write this exam. So, time for a micro exam. Oh my goodness, it was horrendous. Horrendous for the fact that I had a tissue in my hand covered with my nose and I was using my right hand to write. So, I was like this throughout the whole exam. And it was a hour 30-minute class. So it was an hour 30-minute exam. And I was just like, man, I wish I wasn't sick. Because I actually understood the material. I wish I wasn't sick, but that was how I had to write the second exam. There was no other way. So I finish, and that was my last class of the day. I go back into my apartment. I call Crystal and I tell her what happened to me. Like, man, I just had an exam and I was sick. And this is what she says. She says, well, did you get a flu shot? And I was like, no. And she says, well, in my program, we have to get a flu shot. It's mandatory. So yeah, you should get a flu shot and you should get hand sanitizers. I was like, okay. So, that was just the conversation. Ended the call. I spoke with my mom, told her what happened to me, that I got sick. She was like, hey, get some rest, get some tea. Do you have ginger? Do you have lemon? Do that, just rest, and everything. I called Reese. Me and Reese will still have conversations here and there. I told her what happened to me. And she was like, hey, Adrian, I hope you get better. She was just, speaking life into me. My mom and Reese were speaking life to me. Crystal, on the other hand, she wasn't. Anyways, I go into my room, I lay down, I probably start falling asleep around probably 8 o'clock at night. I wake up at 11 and I just have a fever, everything. I'm just feeling all the symptoms. I said, you know what? I need to eat so I can take Advil. So I get up. It's after 11. I get up, go to the kitchen to make a sandwich. As I'm in the kitchen, I get a phone call from Crystal. I'm like, okay. Crystal's calling me. I'm thinking she's calling to check up on me because I told her I was sick earlier. She picks up the phone and she says, hey, did you know Tony was in downtown? Now, for the sake of the story, Tony is someone who was a servant of the Lord, and Tony had an organization that was on Georgia State campus. So she calls me and says, hey, did you see Tony? Tony was in downtown. I was like, oh no. I had an exam and I was sick. She was like, this was our time to see Tony before we went to Tony's church. Now, sidebar, when it comes to Tony, now, little backstory of Tony. Tony was someone who Crystal followed. I followed Tony as well. I didn't know much about Tony, but I didn't really pay Tony much attention. Crystal followed Tony. Crystal was also a big supporter. She really loved Tony. So during our times of us looking for a home church, I would tell her, "Hey, since you're a big supporter of Tony, why don't you go to Tony's church?" She was like, "No." I'm like, "Okay, cool." And then days after, she would say, "Oh, one of these days I'm going to Tony's church." Like, listen, whatever you want to do it. Okay, I am just giving a suggestion. Back to this scene. She was like, yeah, this was our time to see Tony before he went to Tony's church. Listen, I never said I was going to Tony's church. I asked you, and you said one of these days you were gonna go, and so I said, I couldn't go because I was sick. She's like, so you're so fragile. Now I haven't had the sandwich yet. I haven't had the sandwich. I haven't had the Advil. So whatever she's saying to me, it's really not registering to me. So I go on to say, you know what? Who do you know who else was in downtown? Issa Rae and The Rock, like they were filming a movie. And then she says to me, "Did you see them?" I was like, "No." I'm like, I'm sick. I was sick. Like, what's? She was like, "You don't even do like. What are you even in Atlanta? You don't deserve to be here. You just do nothing." I was like, "Is I was like, Crystal, like I was sick." You're like, so I just called to tell you that Tony came to downtown and that was it. Like you like you getting on my nerves. Bye. That was a phone call. That was a phone call. So the phone call ended. I have my sandwich. I sit down and take my Advil. I am watching the Golden State Warriors play the Washington Wizards. That's how precise I remember this. I'm sitting down there and I'm thinking to myself, I said, wait, hold on. What just happened? Did Crystal really just go off on me because of Tony? I was like, wait, what? No. I was I was sick and she went off on me because I didn't go and see Tony. Tony doesn't even know her. Tony is not even her friend. Like, I'm her friend. I was sick and she was going off on me. I became mad. And not only did I become mad, but looking back, the spirit of offense was coming upon me. Um, I was like, no, no, no. This is like the disrespect is no. And I feel like there has been a series of events where she has been disrespecting me. And I was just like, you know what? All this time of me calling Crystal every day, I'm not, no. Right. I was like, I told myself right now, I am sick. I need to focus on myself. I need to focus on getting better, focus on my classes because she was doing good. She was getting A's and B's. She wasn't getting a 20. She wasn't getting advised to drop a class. All of that wasn't happening to her. It was happening to me. And I was one calling her every day, checking up on her. And she didn't care what I had going on. So I was like, no, I'm going to focus on myself. That's what I'm going to do. So for the rest of October, I'm just basically taking care of myself, as far as me being sick and everything. I told myself I am not going to church with her anymore. I am going to attend service online from my church in New Jersey, and that eventually I'll find my own home church. Like at this point, I'm kind of like wanting to wash my hands off of her. And I remember just telling myself, is this friendship over? And I was like, nah, that's my sister. Like, that's my sister. Like, we just need to have a conversation because the disrespect is too much. Like, I'm just not gonna tolerate it. So that's what happened in the month of October. Struggling with school, basically struggling with school. Crystal being disrespectful as ever. Yeah, just that's what's going on. Now, another thing I forgot to mention in my August episode and September episode was that I forgot to mention my apartment number. My apartment number was 1512A. It's very important I talk about it right now because it comes up later on in the story. My roommate, her name is Jess. It's important I talk about her too because she plays a role in the story as well. And also at this time, y'all, I start having depressive thoughts. I start having depressive thoughts and I start considering, should I go to therapy? I told myself, if I go to therapy, then that means something's wrong with me. I mean, that's the whole purpose of going to therapy. But it was pride. I did not want to feel like something was wrong with me. So I decided that I am not going to go to therapy because I felt like I was losing my mind in October when I wasn't doing well in school and just things weren't going my way. I did not like it. I felt like I wasn't in control of what was going on in my life. And that really bothered me as well. Yeah, that was what happened in the month of October. In the month of November, okay? Month of November, a bunch of schoolwork situation, a bunch of crystal situation. And yeah, just I'm just going to talk about that in the next episode. If you are not subscribed to my channel, kindly subscribe. If you're not following me on Instagram, follow me. If you are not liking or leaving comments under my videos, kindly do so too. So until next time, bye.